Please welcome to the stage SARC's Chief Science Officer, Dr. Christopher J. Smith.
Right. Throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to speak with thousands of parents about their child's autism. And one phrase stands out more than others. She was such a good baby. It's an odd phrase to be associated with autism, but it is. When I hear a parent say that about their child now, I immediately get concerned. See, babies shouldn't be that good. Babies should be seeking your attention every few minutes, always looking for something. I want this, I want that, just taking more and more. Honestly, it's a little like working for our CEO, Danny Openden. If parents aren't drained, at least some of the time, by that precious little bundle of joy, well, they might need to be concerned. While the good baby concern applies to all races and ethnicities, it likely affects girls the most. For every 3 boys diagnosed with autism, there's only 1 girl. Most girls are hard to diagnose. They develop differently than boys. They literally have bigger social brains. But that doesn't prevent them from having social challenges. You can be social and have autism. Unless girls demonstrate significant problem behavior, identifying them earlier requires both parents and professionals to be more aware and sensitive to subtle differences. The more people who know what to look for, the more girls can be identified. So today, I'm going to provide all of you with a crash course in identifying subtle signs of autism by showing you a few videos. I'm going to start by showing you an example of typical development because I think it's important for you to highlight the social behaviors that typical kids do so easily that often go unnoticed. In this first video, this girl was being evaluated for admission to our preschool as a typically developing peer. She's in the room with both her parents and an examiner who's introducing a toy. Let's watch.
Hey, Quinn, look. Look at that. What's happening here? Do you like my name? Pop, pop, pop. Oh, yeah. There's something with Petrobani. That's silly, huh?
I'm guessing to most of you, nothing really stood out. But I see examples of behavior that clearly indicate typical development. Let's watch that again. The examiner easily gets her attention and then shifts her gaze across the room at a toy, just by shifting her own gaze. When the toy is introduced, she looks back at her mom for some reassurance that it's okay. Now she makes direct eye contact with the examiner.
Do you like my name? Pop, pop, pop.
Once again, direct eye contact, this time with a slight vocalization. And finally, see a big smile paired with eye contact to the examiner again.
Silly, huh?
That's 5 social behaviors from a shy, quiet 2-year-old in just 45 seconds. Her behavior shows that she is acutely aware of the people in the room. They are just as important, if not more important, than the toy. Now let's take a look at another little girl about the same age. Her mom wanted her to enroll her in the community school as a typically developing peer because she had no concerns about her development. During the evaluation, you'll see her exploring toys, Her mom's sitting behind her, and an examiner's attempting to interact with her. But she has no interest. She was diagnosed with autism just a few weeks after this video was taken. She shows interest in the toy, but she doesn't look up at her mom or the examiner. The examiner moves closer to play with her, and without making eye contact, she just gets up and leaves the table.
Do you know where that goes? Watch this, Maria.
The examiner tries harder to get her attention, but still no eye contact.
Watch this. You want to try? You want to try?
The examiner tries to interact again, but without looking, she turns her back and engages in repetitive behavior. There were no examples of significant problem behavior. For all intents and purposes, she was being a good baby. She just never showed any interest in her mom or the examiner. To develop social communication skills, kids need to show an interest in the people around them. That's how they learn. As time goes by for the girl in the second video, more learning opportunities slip away, and the gap between her and typically developing peers gets wider. She and girls like her illustrate the critical need for our pediatrician and diagnostic network. We train and encourage pediatricians to screen everyone, early and often, using a standardized screening questionnaire. And based on the results of that screening, they then refer to our network for an evaluation. And in my humble opinion, our network psychologists are some of the best in the state at identifying subtle signs of autism in very young children, especially girls. Now, you saw in the video right before my talk all of the important steps that we've taken to improve early detection. But there's still a lot of work to do. We need people everywhere to take a second look at the good babies and take action. Events like this, where we can capture the attention of people like you from our community, help us to share this message. If you leave here today learning just one thing, that behaviors that children are not doing can be just as concerning as the behaviors they are doing, then we can all work together to improve identification for everyone, especially the good babies. Thank you. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce someone who, for nearly 2 decades of dedicated service to SARC, has significantly improved the lives of countless good babies and their families. Please welcome our clinical director, Rachel Anderson.